Yes.
Please proceed.
Thank you very much. We take this opportunity to acknowledge the leadership of the EFF and present here the officials.
Yes, Honorable Member, just a minute, Honorable Malima. Honorable Member, what's your point of order?
Speaker, on the point of order, I'm rising to find out what is Honorable Malema going to debate. He was not part of the zone. There's nothing for him to debate. He must sit down.
No, unfortunately, Honorable Member, that's not the point of order. Please proceed, Honorable Malima.
I have no time for boys. We take this opportunity to acknowledge the leadership of the EFF present here, the officials, commissars from the CCT, PCT, RCT, and BCT members, the ground forces of the uncompromising movement watching from all over the country and the continent, including the African diaspora, importantly, the people of South Africa. We also acknowledge the leadership of the opposition parties present here in Parliament. Under normal circumstances, we're supposed to acknowledge a president and a speaker of Parliament. But for a very long time now, and particularly after the revelations of crimes in Palapala, we can boldly state that the South Africa does not have head of state and president. The one who was here, there before, has renounced his constitutional privilege to continue as President of the Republic of South Africa. South Africa's constitution obliges anyone who is elected as a president to uphold, respect, and defend the constitution, and we can say boldly here that Mr. Ramaphosa has failed to uphold, respect, and defend the constitution. The misconduct of the speaker on the 9th of February 2023 has also disqualified her as a legitimate speaker of parliament. The speaker referred to members of this house as animals and violated the constitution and the rules of the National Assembly when she allowed the police to invade parliament and made it worse by calling on the security forces of South Africa to enter the chambers to intimidate peaceful members of parliament who had their hands up, holding placards to protest against the sole director of Ntaba Nyoni Estate Pty Ltd, the company that owns Palapala Farm in Limpopo and unlawfully engaged in trade through currencies that cannot be used in South Africa. As a result, we have already submitted a motion of no confidence against Mrs. Nosiviwe Mapisa Nakula, and we officially withdraw our honor we previously showed her. We also apologize for having showed her the honor when she evidently does not respect Parliament, does not respect the laws of this country, and can do everything to stay in office. Under no circumstances should a democratic parliament be harassed and intimidated by the state security forces. The Constitutional Court has ruled that the police must stay away from lawmakers. It is the responsibility of the Speaker of Parliament to make sure that members of Parliament execute their responsibility without any fear or intimidation. But once you usher in police inside the chambers, you are effectively saying and allowing the tyrant to intimidate and even possibly prosecute those who disagree with the tyrant. The police must never be allowed inside the chamber because that is where the executive is held accountable. And those who are in power, if they do not have answers, may be tempted to use the security forces to intimidate those who are holding them accountable. I've known the president of the ANC longer than many of you, and he has known me when I was very young. Under no circumstances will he ever be threatened by me, or can he feel that his life is under threat because Julius is next to him. I've been next to him before. Many of you joined the ANC, including the second Deputy Secretary General of the ANC. So there is no need for you to behave like you can protect him. against the people who sit with him in the chamber, and he does so without even having bodyguards, without being intimidated. The president himself said when he was playing golf the following day that he never felt intimidated, neither was he scared when he was in this parliament. So who are you saying? What are you saying? The people who use your own stomachs to think. The president has put you under the bus, those who said the president was under threat. He said himself was never under threat, neither was he intimidated. So what were the police doing here? They were here because the speaker has lost total control of this parliament, and that's why she must step down. We take this opportunity to pay tribute to fearless ground forces and volunteers who gathered 10 years ago in Uncle Tom's Hall and said economic freedom in our lifetime. The organization that you started 10 years ago, it's a force to be reckoned with and a fighting instrument in the hands of the people. Despite the fact that you, as ground forces of the EFF, defined the EFF to be, amongst other things, a protest movement, you also said we are a government in waiting. As we are talking here today, we are a government in the city of Johannesburg, where the EFF was founded. And the EFF is responsible for public safety and healthcare and social development. We can assure the people of Johannesburg that the crime in the economic capital of South Africa will go down, and our communities will receive better primary healthcare, which will be premised on massive public education on healthcare and health matters. Public safety is what we are going to ensure. We will demonstrate to the people of Johannesburg that we will reduce the levels of contact crime, murder, robberies, car hijackings, assault with intention to do grievous bodily harm in all crime spots of Johannesburg, particularly Hillbrow, GP, Central Johannesburg, Orange Farm, Alexander, Ivory Park, Honeydew, and Midrand. We will not tolerate criminals anywhere in the city of Johannesburg. Our energy services must
Honorable Malema, just a minute. I see your hand is up, Honorable Member. Can I find out on what point I will rise?
Thank you very much, Chair. I am rising on 14P. The honorable member on the podium have taken this very same house, have litigated the very same house, who have been schooled by him that the president have taken. No, you can howl. We have been schooled by that one. Listen, we have been schooled by that one. He told us that the president have taken parliament to court. Therefore, president cannot address this house. The very same thing have done it. He does not have any standing to address this house. He is a delinquent. He disrupts the house. Therefore, he must also not be allowed to address the house chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. But that's not a point of order, unfortunately. Please proceed, Honorable Member.
There is a difference between addressing and debating. Very thin line. I'm not addressing, I'm debating. We can assure the people of Johannesburg.
Honorable Malema, I see there's another hand. Please sit for a minute. Honorable Member, please start off by indicating on what point of order I rise. On what point I rise. On what point?
Chair, I'm raising on the point of order, quoting Article 14B, on the use of offensive languages by Honorable Mahormeja Malema, who undermined the president and undermined the House by using offensive languages the last time. Now, before Mahormeja continues to address, Mahormeja must first apologize to the parliament, or he must not address, because we can't be addressed by Mahormeja, who undermined this parliament.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Honorable Members, can I really make a plea that when we rise on a point of order, it should really be a point of order. I'm not going to really allow any other person to make a speech in the pretext of raising a point of order. Please desist from doing so. Honorable Malema.
Thank you very much. The health and social development, the primary principle and approach of the EFF to healthcare is based on primary healthcare and accessibility of clinics for 24 hours. Each and every ward in the city of Johannesburg must have a healthcare facility, whether it is a hospital, clinic, poly or mobile clinic. What primary healthcare means is that our nurses and departments of health as a whole must not wait for patients to come to them only when they are terminally ill and require expensive and sophisticated healthcare operations. Primary healthcare means that the Department of Health must perpetually and permanently raise awareness and conduct massive public education of essential preventative health issues confronting our communities. Our health department will work with schools, community forums, and community-based organizations to publicly educate our people on preventative healthcare measures. We will make sure that all the acting positions, both in public safety and in health and social development in Johannesburg, are filled so that we can give our people a proper service. The EFF remains the only dependable and reliable weapon for the total liberation of the working class and Africans here in South Africa, the African continent, and the African diaspora. Throughout the year, we'll be celebrating the 10 years existence of the EFF and preparing for a journey ahead. We take this opportunity to say to the people of South Africa, what you are listening to is not a real state of the nation, it's a hearsay. Our country is in the middle of several man-made crises. The man who's currently at the center of South Africa's crisis is a full-time businessman, animals trader, possibly a puppet of both the domestic and global capitalist interest, who has said that the job of president for him is a part-time job, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa. Let us start from the bottom. Despite many promises of universal access to early childhood development, millions of particularly black children in villages and townships have no access to early childhood development. What this means is that children of white people are born with strategic advantage and privilege over black children because white people's children start education before even turn 2 years old, while black children are only given access to education at the age of 5 and 6. And even when they go to school, these schools do not have the advanced technologies and teaching support system available for white children. This year will mark exactly 29 years since the first inclusive elections, yet we still have primary and secondary schools that use pig toilets, and we still have schools without electricity, without water, without access to basic necessities. The reality is that public education in South Africa has collapsed and has opened space for extremely expensive private schools which majority of our people cannot afford and cannot reach. In the year 2022, almost 1 million students wrote their senior certificate examination, matric, and yet there are less than 200,000 spaces available in universities of technology and universities, because no one amongst those who are in government planned for the future of these students. In actual fact, there's been more than 4 million applications into institutions of higher learning when the spaces available are less than 200,000. Despite the former president of the ANC announcing fee-free higher education in 2019, there's still no free decolonized education in South Africa. Academically deserving yet poor students are being turned away from institutions of higher learning because of lack of money. Those who protest against fees are being shot and killed with no consequences, like fighter Madonsela was killed at the Durban University of Technology. There is still a shortage of more than 500,000 beds for students at Tibet colleges, University of Technology and universities, and without decent and safe accommodations, students are subjected to high levels of crime, abuse, and often taken advantage of by different people. The South African government has neglected its obligation to create a safe and conducive teaching and learning environment for students. Those who sacrifice and go through endurance of finishing their students are often thrown into a very large section of the unemployment in South Africa. More than 12 million capable South Africans who are looking for jobs, including those who are discouraged, cannot find jobs anywhere because there is no meaningful program to create jobs for young people. Unemployment in South Africa is too high, and as if that is not enough, the South African Post Office has announced that it will be worsening the crisis of unemployment through retrenchment of more than 6,000 workers. The fact is that South Africa currently has close to 20 million people who are dependent on social grant, and it's not a cause for celebration, particularly when viewed from the fact that even these social grants do not eliminate poverty. There is absolutely no child and definitely no adult who can survive and thrive with $350 or $450 per month, whereas in a country with rising costs of living. Not even the dogs of the presiding president survives on $450 per month. The form of social assistance provided by government since 1994 has not been impactful in reducing poverty because the current government is incapable of creating jobs and taking our people out of poverty. Landlessness is still the biggest challenge confronting our people, and our attempts as the EFF to resolve the land question was undermined by the puppets of neocolonialism and imperialism. We are here today with still working under a constitution that protects the rights of stolen property because the land in the ownership and control of colonial settlers and their descendants is stolen land, and no amount of lies will hide the fact that settlers are in possession of stolen goods. In the middle of landlessness, joblessness, and many crises that define South Africa, we have high levels of crime which are perpetuated by the fact that we have an incapable and unwilling police minister who has always shown up after the crimes and only pose for cameras. This leader has demonstrated that he has got nothing to offer except to project himself as a modern-day model. He is indeed a certified fool without any alternative to reducing crime in South Africa. We said before that the current leadership of the police is incapable, and we are firmly called for the removal of some of these imposters, and our cries fell on deaf ears.
Let's see the point of order. This is the point of order.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. The member in the podium has used an offensive language by referring to the minister as an FOON. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Malema.
He didn't quote the rule. He didn't quote the rule, Chair.
No, never mind the quoting. The point is that
I can't hear you, Chair. Switch on. They wrote for you. Switch on.
Honorable, please behave.
I can't hear.
Please behave. Please behave. Now, Honorable Malema, I'm calling upon you to withdraw the use of an offensive word, and that word is food.
I withdraw, Chair.
Thank you
We
very
have
much.
on several occasions called on the President to release the clever minister who has always shown up for cameras all the time there is a crime scene with an intention of arresting wrong people and mess up the crime scene and mess up the case. Today we speak, crime has gone very high in South Africa in all respect. We don't even want to talk about GBV. We don't want to talk about catch in transit haste. We don't want to talk about contact crime because the leadership of the police is in cahoots with the criminals. The only way we can be defeated in dealing with crime is only when the leadership of the police is working with criminals. The leadership of the police works with drug lords. The leadership of the police works with Nkabis. the leadership of the police is in the payroll of hitmen and women of this country. The leadership of the police actually planned the assassination of our deputy president, a matter that we brought to the attention of the president, that the minister was involved in the plot of killing the deputy president of the EFF. This is a matter that has been reported
Honorable
and has been
Malema,
confirmed.
Honorable Malema, please take your seat. Honorable Katebe, on what point are you rising?
Chairperson, thank you, Honorable Chairperson. The member has cast aspersions on the minister without substantiating the fact.
Yes.
No, Rule 12 is very clear. Rule 12 Chair is very clear that the rules of the NA apply in the joint sitting when the member of the NA is on the platform. So the member violated Rule 85 of the rules of NA. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Malema, I'm sure by now you know that if you are to make an allegation such as the one that we have made now, you need to have a substantive motion put in front of the House so that the matter can be thoroughly debated, considered and debated. So I'm asking you again to withdraw.
I withdraw, Chair.
Thank you very much.
When the daughter of our former Secretary General was killed, it is the police of South Africa who went to the suspect and said to the suspect, put the name of Floyd Shibambo, that you worked with Floyd Shibambo to assassinate.
Honorable Malema, just a minute. Honorable Member, on what point are you rising?
Thank you so much, House Chair. I'm rising on the point of privilege. House Chair, I want to address you and ask you a question on privilege. And the question is that the rule says when a member is kicked out of the House for the duration of the debate, that member may not continue in the same debate. Now the SONA has resuming, that's not adjourned. Now the same member was kicked out of the sitting in the same debate. So I want to ask you, you can come back later and make a ruling around it. The question is that, is the member per the rules allowed to continue and participate in the debate when he was moved out of the debate? Thank you.
Unfortunately, Honorable Member, that rule is not applicable. So the member has the right to participate in the proceedings, but issues such as the ones that you are raising can be pursued in the Joint Rules Committee and in other related parliamentary structures. Thank you very much. Please, Honorable Malema, please proceed.
Thank you very much. The Deputy President of the EFF has been targeted by the leadership of the police, which was willing to connive with suspects and persuaded the suspects to put the name of the Deputy President of the EFF in the murder of our former Secretary General's daughter. When they refused after being beaten, a money has been offered to them to implicate the Deputy President of the EFF in the murder of our own daughter. Why do they do this? It is only known to them. But I'm using this example to demonstrate to you that the leadership of the police is working with criminals. And for as long as the leadership of the police is working with criminals, we will never defeat crime in this country. It is the responsibility of the so-called president to remove Honorable Begitele with immediate effect, because he has failed the people of South Africa. What happened to our third artist, DJ Somebody, aka, will never get to know, because the police and higher echelons of the police are in cahoots with the criminal syndicate. We cannot fight crime well led by criminals. We must first get rid of criminals in order to defeat crime. May AKA's soul rest in peace and haunt all of these people who have made it so difficult for him to live.
Honorable Malema, don't you really think that it would be all the members, all the honorable members, all the honorable members. Now, honorable members, don't you think it would be advisable that when you have to make such serious allegations, we stick to what the rules of Parliament provide. In other words, that you come here with a motion and the motion gets debated so that indeed all the issues that you are related get considered and engaged by members of Parliament.
Chair, I'm debating. When we stand up during the president's speech, we are told you raise that point in debate. When we raise the point in debate, something else is being said. It means we'll never contribute in this house. I'm not saying anything against anyone. I'm just telling you the fact that we ought to fight criminality in the police. And if the shoe fit, wear it, because it's the truth. Now you have established Minister of Electricity. We hope to see Minister of Trains. We hope to see Minister of Flights. We hope to see Minister of Dinner. We hope to see Minister of Potholes. We hope to see Minister of GBV. Because the reality is that, Mr. President, nothing is working under you. You are a man on top and doing nothing. And that is very irresponsible of a man to be on top and do nothing. The reality of the situation is that you went against the advice we gave you when you started as a president, that listen to your own organization. Your own organization has now said, put the ESCOM under energy. What did you do? You went to a separate kitchen cabinet and created a Ministry of Electricity, which doesn't derive from the resolutions of your own organization. A clear confirmation that there is a kitchen cabinet that exists in Stellenbosch and that dictates the direction this country must take. If you agree that ESCOM has failed to discharge its responsibility, ESCOM has always had a minister, and that is a Minister of Public Enterprise. And if we need a separate minister, it means that minister has failed. Why are you so scared to remove an incompetent minister who has failed and collapsed everything in the state-owned, under state-owned enterprise? It can't be, even if you are friends, you ought to have an honest discussion amongst yourself and say, my brother, there is nothing I can do anymore. I need someone capable to come and rescue Dinel, to come and rescue Transnet, to come and rescue SAA, because ESCOM and the rest have collapsed under Honorable Pravin Gordhan. I don't know the Musabani or Honorable Pravin Gordhan. I don't know if he's got a list of impimpis or sellouts of during apartheid, the way you are so scared of him. But he knows and his cohorts that some of us are not scared of him. They've tried it before and we defeated them and will defeat them again. Fellow South Africans, nothing is working in this country. You were promised all manner of things when President Zuma was removed. Things are worse. Things will get worse because the president said that this electricity crisis is not going to be resolved in the nearest future, at least for 2 years. When he says 2 years, he means 5 years, or even more than that. It is up to you, South Africa, if you want to declare that enough is enough. We must make sure that on the 20th of March, we remove this puppet government from power. We must make sure that on the 20th of March, we demand the resignation of Mr. Ramaphosa. We must make sure that on the 20th of March, we demand the stopping of crime. We demand that the money launderer must be removed from office. We demand that crime in South Africa must be something of the past. If you want employment and you are sitting at home in darkness without a hope, your future is in the EFF. Join the shutdown on the 20th of March when we bring South Africa to a standstill. Only cowards who are in the pockets of capital will be scared to come to the streets on the 20th of March. We tried here in Parliament, they used their majority to defend criminality. We tried in the court, they used the judiciary to defend their criminality. We are left with no option. The streets are calling our names. The picket lines are calling our names. And all South Africans, we look forward to seeing you on the 20th of March 2023. Only the fearless will be on the streets and holding this puppet government accountable. We are not scared. Only Amagwana will go and beg the president that he must not resign. But all those who know that the president did nothing for this country, including himself, will encourage him to resign, because the president had already resigned. And once you have resigned and you are convinced by affection to stay, you must know that it is only the body that remains there. The conscience is gone, because the conscience is the one that wrote a letter. No amount of factionalism can bring back that conscience. I don't know what the deputy president, the former deputy president, is doing here. He allows them to use him against Paul Mashatile, but he knows that these people don't want him. They don't want you. Stop pretending that they want you. And former deputy president Didi Mabuza, please join the streets on the 20th of March.
Honorable Malema, Honorable Malema,
all of us, let's go on the street on the 20th of March. Patria muerte! Patria muerte! Patria muerte! Thank you very much.